For me, what that future looks like is really a future where it's inclusive to all communities, where it reflects the talent and the ability that are equally distributed among all communities, and where we enable communities to access that success through opportunity and access. But what is not equally distributed is opportunity and access. So when we're looking at the future of work, to me, that has to be something that's more equal, where we're looking at really redistributing and recognizing that different people need different kinds of support, different people can redefine success in their own ways, and all these different pathways are valid. And what this means for education especially is that education needs to be inclusive. We need to rethink education to include a diversity of pathways to success. And how we can really work on this for the future is different for different organizations, different people. For organizations, institutions, and communities, what this means for organizations, institutions, and communities is really to create safe spaces for everyone to feel like they belong and for them to figure out their journeys and their pathways to success. And what this means is also to figure out what are the values and needs of your target audience. How do you understand the needs of your target audience? And from my work at the Cadet Project, we've been doing this 5 years. We've been trying to figure this out because what we try and do is we try and represent women who are underrepresented in tech. For example, we ran Singapore's first and only women hackathon in 2018. We offered childcare, we offered breastfeeding rooms, we offered prayer and meditation rooms, and we offered halal and vegetarian food. And this all might seem really basic to you, but these were all things that didn't exist in hackathons. These were all things that were considered, well, it might be a bit of a burden, it might be a bit of a challenge for us to do this, but we put women at the center of what it is that we do, and that made all the difference. We were working with cultural norms where women are still often primary caregivers. So it wasn't an overnight hackathon, so women could go home and be with their families. There were no prerequisites. So we didn't want women to say, well, I don't know if I'm good enough for this. Everyone was welcome. And the result of this was that we defied every single expectation that this would not be a good hackathon. This would be an unpopular hackathon. Women did not want to come to our hackathon. We were sold out every single time that we ran this. We had a huge diversity in backgrounds, huge diversity in ages. Our age range was something like 8 to 44. We had mother-daughter groups come in. It was so family-friendly that people left our hackathon feeling like they had found a community of their own. What this meant was that we showed that it was possible to create safe spaces, even though they'd never been done before. And I think that what this means for the future of work is that, yeah, we may not have imagined exactly what that future will look like, but we know where we can start. We're starting with the values and the needs of the target audiences, the communities. We're expanding those definitions, making them more diverse, more inclusive, and safer for everyone to really create more opportunities and more pathways to success. Another part of this, especially for organizations and institutions, is using both data and lived experience to break down the barriers to success. One of the things that's very human is that we tend to go for easy explanations. If, we can come up for an easy explanation for why women don't come to hackathons, for why something else doesn't happen, for why something else always happens, then we'll use the easy explanation. So for the question on why aren't there more women in tech, to me, that's an easy question, but the more important, more difficult question is actually, where in the hiring pipeline do we not see women in technology? Where do women drop off? So we're asking this question really to reframe the assumption that it's the fault of women that they're underrepresented, that somehow women have done something wrong. But this isn't true. If a company has 40% of applicants of women at the initial stage, but only 1% make it through interview, then we know there might be something about the interview process. Is there something about it that's making it harder for women to succeed? And the solution for this could be very different from the problem of having only 1% of applicants being women. And this underlines how at every step of the process, we need to look at data and lived experience to really question some of the assumptions that we have. The third aspect of this is checking your narratives. We know that representation is important for nations, for communities, for institutions, for organizations. So representation is important at every level of this. We need to have inclusive representation of all our communities. and all our peoples, so that we not only have examples of success to look up to, but we can also co-create a communal imagination as to what diverse success would look like. And we need organizations to hold themselves accountable for both internal and external narratives of success, so that we can create a more diverse future of work, a more diverse imagination of what the future of work would look like. And we build pathways that encourage this imagination. The fourth point is learning and unlearning. So what this means is that the future of work will require us to not just learn, but unlearn old habits, old thought patterns, old beliefs, even basic things like the only path to success is a university education. And all this will require time, effort, and consistency in order for us to unlock new pathways to success and for people to believe that success will look like them. My final point for organizations and institutions is to include spaces for different journeys. We need to really think differently about people. Why not hire people above 50? Why not have flatter, more equitable wage structures so we don't see huge disparities within organizations and institutions? Why not hire people without formal education? Why not hire women, hire people from diverse backgrounds? We need to act in a way that shows we value people for their learning and their skills, and to invest in people really for the long term, not just for short-term measures. We need to be able to cope, not just with current, but with future changes. And we need to include spaces and pathways for different journeys, and realize that when we value people as individuals within our communities, within our organizations, within our institutions, we will only become more resilient in this future of work. So I've talked a lot about communities and institutions and these big things, but how about individuals? How can we as individuals start to navigate this unknowable future of work? To me, there are 5 key steps. Firstly, start where you are. There's a lot of fear that comes not just from the inside, but from the outside, where people are, well, this is where you should start. This is what you need to do. This is where you need to be. But I believe that you need to start where you are to help you get to where you want to go. So you need to first start with a personal audit and see what you've done, what you're doing, what time do you have, what energy do you have, what's your interest level in the different things, and look back on things maybe 5, 10, 20 years ago, things in your childhood, to really figure out what are the things that have always interested you, to look at what happens to you and for you from now on. The second point, know what you're good at. A lot of people are going to tell you, well, follow your passion, follow what you like, follow what you love. I think that's often not even half of the conversation. That's really taking away from the things that you're good at. I think you enjoy things you're good at. So if you start from there and then actually you build up the skill set to be better and better, then that's really more than following your passion. That's building your skill set, and that's building your future of work. What that means is, for example, if you're good at creating online content, you know what colors go together, then see, well, from there, how do you create better content? Then when you have better content, how do you analyze that content to make it better? How do you analyze the data that's behind that? Start from what you're good at. And there's always going to be something that you are good at. It's not going to be easy maybe to find, but it's possible. Even if it's something that you're only better at a little bit more than everything else you're doing, that's still a good place to start. So then this leads to the next point, where you've identified what you're interested in. You want to know how you can add value to this process. What can you do after this? If you love craft work, if you love creating something, then figure out how to build a website where you can showcase your products. And this can be a drag and drop website. You don't even need to learn the code. That can be a few years down the road. If you love having social media pages and you create content, like you create graphic content, you create video content, figure out how to use your data better to know who's coming to your website, who's coming to your social media pages, who's looking at your social media pages at 11 p.m. on Friday, and figure that out. And how do you get more of that? If you like creating graphic and video content, then figure out how to do it better. Who can you learn from? There is always a way forward, but figuring out exactly what that looks like, it's really going to depend on you, your needs, and your capacity. The fourth thing is looking at building a community. So then this is not just looking at you, but the people around you, figuring out who can help you. You need a community at every part of your journey, whether you're at your workplace, at your home, at your school. A community should act as an amplifier of your best self. And community really should be something that helps minimize or change the most challenging parts of yourself. And it helps you identify the things that are difficult. There are different kinds of communities. You don't want just to be with the people who are at the same stage that you're at, but you want to find people who've done what you want to do. And you also want to find people who you can contribute to, who you can be like, well, I've done this and this has helped, and be a generous part of this community. And I've seen this really, through my work at the Cadet Project, through even just experiencing what Singapore's been like in COVID-19 and how the local home gardening scene has really exploded. Suddenly you have people who are willing and able to share everything from how to start out, tips, advice. People give free plants to each other and they're sharing this freely. And there's so much learning that's been happening through the sheer joy of it. And I think that's so beautiful. The fifth thing is really to believe that you deserve to be successful. When I started the Cadet Project 5 years ago, most people didn't believe that it would be a success. We had so much pushback from every kind of person, every kind of organization, and it was hard, but I knew that this was the way that I wanted to move forward. This was the community that I had imagined because no one else had imagined my success for me. I managed to find other people who were like me and who believe that underrepresented women deserve to be successful. And I'm still here. It's been 5 years. And that to me is a huge success. So you need to believe. Even if you have to fake it, fake the belief in the beginning, just even if you're not sure, you have to tell yourself that you deserve to be successful. Don't believe too much in the path, the specific way that will get you there, but believe that you as an individual deserve that success. Even though now we're still figuring out what the future of work will look like, we're still figuring out what your future will look like, you have to believe that you have a part to play in it, that you have a part to play in the future of work, that you deserve to be successful in the future of work. And I really think that will help you get further and to be more successful than you think possible.